love you guys. And so we're back for a second round of the fappening where you send in your funny fap stories that all went wrong.
Okay.
I'm here with my lovely wife.
Oh, when did I get promoted?
Just now. So growing up with my dad, he never knocked on doors, so he would just usually barge right in with my dick in hand in mid-stroke. This happened for years, to the point where there was just no longer any shame. At one point, I looked him dead in the eyes in the middle of the deed and said, "I'm trying to kill your grandchildren right now." To his response, "You would need to actually pick up some women first for that to even be a possibility."
Oh!
Basically told me I ain't got no bitches, plus will never have any either. This was a turning point, and it was my turn to get his ass back, hoping it would stop him. This was a mistake. This man has no shame, nor gives any fucks. I walked in on him on what I would think would be his weakest moments, and if he knew I was planning this, he would have just said, "Your possible brothers and sisters are gonna be on that napkin soon."
Is your dad single? Twirls my hair.
I
Single?
always threaten that with my chat. I'm like, "I'm sorry, chat. I gotta f your dad's now."
I just got back from college, had a shower, then kicked back, went to the holy site, found my favorite video, and got to it. Little did I know that my dad had just gotten home. I didn't know, so I was carrying on. Just as it was getting good, my dad knocks on the door, so I turn off my phone, but by then, it was already too late. I tucked it, but not soon enough. And I had to sit while I nutted as my father told me my grandpa just died!
Grandpa just died.
I wonder if they were close. I mean, he definitely was. Would you mind reading the next one, darling?
Oh, but of course. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was in my parents' room by myself. Usually go to my parents' room since I find their bed to be more comfortable than mine.
In the No.
However, sometimes I relieve there. But hold your horses, because my method of occupying myself is quite unorthodox, since I relieve myself by putting layers of paper towel between my crotch and press my stick against the bed. Essentially, I'm f***ing the bed.
Okay.
So when I was going through my session, I thought I was alone when I heard my uncle and his girlfriend enter my apartment. I didn't think of it since they came by to drop something off and leave, but I was gravely mistaken because my uncle came into the room asking for help with what they brought and immediately stopped to pretend I was sleeping. My uncle didn't question anything or ask me, so I just agreed to help when he left the room. I discarded the paper towel that had DNA juice in it and breathed a sigh of relief, yet a lingering thought that he might have caught me in the act, and my years of secrecy have been broken. Bro, he wasn't cranking his hog. He was like laying on it. I've never heard of a method like this.
Have you ever done it on your parents' bedroom?
Fucking never.
Okay, where's the weirdest place, though?
I don't know. I like stealth do it. If I'm like visiting a friend, I'll just crank one out
So
wherever
you're a
I'm at.
Ghostbuster?
I literally am a Ghostbuster. I'll literally bust a nut and like no one can ever tell.
I have a theory. I feel like a bunch of people that I've been with sexually are Ghostbusters. It's literally like... That's it. You get one grunt because they're so used to having to be, you know, stealthy Ghostbusters, dude.
Trust me,
What?
I'm not quiet. One time, I went downstairs after a particularly brutal session, and my mom was like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "I thought you were having a nightmare. I heard you like moaning and yelling. Is everything okay?" And I was like, I forgot to take my meds on time. I must have had a really bad night terror. She's like, "You should check that out because I could hear you all the way downstairs."
Did you know she was home, Bao?
Yeah, but I just thought she wouldn't hear it all the way downstairs.
She knew. There's no way. This one time I was jerking my gherkin, beating my schmeat like it owed me money, you know? I've got a single wired earbud in, keeping one ear open for situational awareness purposes smart. Right as I'm approaching the moment of nuttitude, I hear the door, which I thought was locked, open behind me. I whip around in my office chair purely on instinct, yanking the cord free in the process. The poor cleaning lady not only sees me hog in hand, but now hears the plap plap and the moaning blaring out of the speakers. I'd like to talk for a moment about Kegels, an exercise that increases the strength of the muscle of the pelvic floor. What did I tell you? Gentlemen, if you do the exercise, you'll increase the velocity of your expulsion. What?
Wait, guys can do it too? My pussy's gonna be
4,200
so tight.
I do 4,200 Kegels a day. Laugh if you like, but I can knock the lamp off the night table. Something about the heart rate jump of getting caught set me off, and when I splurted my Girt, it was in a high arcing rainbow shot. So when I tell you this woman Matrix dodged that shit, she ran screaming up the stairs. She probably thought this was a targeted attack, but no, this poor guy who just wanted to sport his Girt at an impressive amount, you know? Why'd you pick that number?
4,200. What is bro training for?
I think he's training for me.
I had a small gig doing long distance deliveries. It meant I had to drive as far as a couple thousand miles away just to drop something off someone had panic ordered or whatever. Around 11 p.m. this one day, my drop had been made and my worn out and tired ass was headed back towards the familiar territory. I had, for whatever reason, felt particularly horny on that ride back. So without thinking too critically, I opened the files on my phone to find a spicy video I had saved. Let's just say it was a damn miracle I managed to keep my van traveling in a straight line while still going the speed limit.
This motherfucker was driving and coming?
I
Really,
want
pardon
this
me,
guy
though.
to think about what happened if you got into a car accident and what his
And
body...
his little seed was there. Yeah.
And then can you imagine his body line? Like, it would just be like a normal body and then a random stick. If he died, he would be coming and going at the same time. As I arrived, while I was still driving, I realized I had made a mess of my underwear, and not wanting to ride all the way home with that in my underwear, I had to think of a way to dispose of them without making the mess worse. So naturally, I pulled over and got to work removing my pants, replacing everything with a fresh pair of underwear. I balled up the underwear and threw them out in the back door to the van, climbed back into the driver's seat and took off. It must have been 5 minutes or so later when I noticed a flashlight into my driver's side mirror. Upon glancing, I realized it was a police car, so I naturally pulled over. Immediately began panicking. I assumed they were pulling me over for littering and had found about my forever ruined pair of briefs. As the officer knocked on the window to my van, I let out one of those silent but heinously smelly farts. What the silent but heinously smelly farts that you would only get when absolutely terrified. The cop went through the whole license and proof of insurance thing, and after checking everything, came back and looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Sir, I saw you throw something out back there. Would you mind telling me what it was?" She leaned into the window and scowled at me, no doubt smelling the noxious fart.
Bro!
Without thinking it over, beyond the thought of, if I'm going to jail, I might as well try to be funny. So I said, "Ma'am, it's a bit embarrassing." I shit my pants back there on the ramp. Miraculously, the trooper leaned back away from my van, badly trying not to laugh despite wheezing like she had emphysema, and apologized, saying, "That's understandable, sir, but next time, please do try to dispose of it properly." And she let me go.
That's impressive. Like, actually.
Credibility.
It did. It was his secret. It was his ticket to ride. Oh my fucking god. Was she hot though?
Well, it don't matter after he tells her that shit.
Once, some time ago, I found myself in a situation in which I was living with my parents for some time. There was no such thing as knocking, and locking the door was almost entirely prohibited. As a grown man, I obviously found some type of issue with this all. I was given the wonderful news that I'd be alone for the majority of the day that day. It couldn't have been more than an hour since my family left that I was going at it alone, to such a degree that I hadn't heard the sound of someone returning ahead of schedule. My younger brother had come home to grab something of his that he'd forgotten. This would have been well and good had he not immediately barged into the guest room that I was staying in. In a moment of sheer panic, I slammed the lid of my laptop as quickly as I could. Though in my less careful moments, I had neglected the placement of my piece, which had promptly slammed between both halves of the laptop.
How?
A cracked screen right where it met my bits. It didn't even stop the video I was watching. The sound just kept playing. Wow, what a submission. This might be my favorite one, I might say.
We were best friends for a long time, so I was able to hang out at her house whenever. We got frisky from time to time. Parentheses, all the time. The more it happened, the more daring I became. So I'm hanging out at her place in her room. A pretty small apartment, so there's barely much to get away with since others were home. Disney movies were left on, and we were both just sitting under covers, and I offered to...
Why did they feel the need to say that? No, go on, Bao, say it. Go on, say it.
Make her Little Mermaid Moana.
Thanks, that was really good.
And obviously it happened as I'm under the sea.
Very good. You can do it.
Her older brother happens to walk by the room to go to the bathroom, but notices the door was open and pushed it wider. Neither of us knew it was still open. Her and I freeze as he stops and stares as the guy he had met like 10 minutes ago has his entire wrist buried down where it's wetter in his sister's pants, and all he says is, "Please don't do anything I wouldn't do. not angry at all, and walks into the bathroom as if he didn't see a damn thing. So we just kind of looked at each other shocked after that happened, and it was clearly time to stop, but I couldn't help myself and playfully wiggled around to mess with her, and she just laughed really loudly to cover up any naughty noises we would have made. I extracted from my under the covers diving mission and cleaned up by pretending I was eating whipped cream, and then we were just chilling out till I went home and never told anybody about this at all. That's kind of hot, I'm not gonna lie.
Huh? When they said making her little mermaid Moana,
Okay,
that turned you on? That turned you on? Yeah, Bao, that was really what heated you up, hey?
I can't win.
Hey, did this video make you chuckle? Maybe puff a little air out of your nostril? Well, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss my new videos. Or, you don't want to know what happens.